All right, hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Paint Live. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday evening. Yeah, do not adjust your screen. Uh, it is what it looks like. It is what it looks like, but it's not what it looks like. And if you're wondering what it is, you saw the title of the stream. You notice I didn't put an A in the word elves, nor did I put luminous high lords. Uh, but we are painting High Elves. You guys remember High Elves? Have you guys ever seen High Elves? High Elves. You can see there's still contrast. You can see that, the color block there. But yeah, we're painting High Elves, and this is the color scheme I'm experimenting with. Um, and I like it. I think it's kind of cool. So we're gonna continue to work on these. You can see I color blocked with contrast paints and with speed paints, and now I'm going in and painting, doing the actual job of getting these things painted. So so we just did one highlight layer on the orange. Let's go ahead and hit this blue on the robes. And this is a weird color scheme. I understand, um, but it is like I have been kind of working towards doing something a little on the wilder side. Um, and this is what I landed on. So let's see, maybe like a blue green would be kind of cool, right? And just kind of stick with like an aquatic, kind of like this blue green. Let's see how this looks. You know, it's that's not bad. The other option is like an actual, like a blue, like a magic blue or something like that, right? Hey, what's up, Michael? He says, oh, hey, yeah, good to see you, bud. Maybe like a deep blue, not really feeling that. Let's see. You could do blue-green. That, wait, that is what I'm doing, isn't it? Yeah, I'm doing like a blue-green. That's not bad. Um, let's see. Aquatic turquoise is a little far off the mark. Archaic turquoise is kind of cool, but we're not going for that. Thought I had like a bright. I have a fluorescent blue, but that doesn't look. It just doesn't look clean enough. It would, which is kind of weird. Star blue. This is kind of a nice blue. I could do star blue, or I could do. Is that too weird? Star blue or blue green? I think blue green would keep us closer to where I want to be. Star blue is pretty cool, but you know what? We're gonna try the blue green. We're gonna try the blue green. So yeah, we are. This is the very first squad of. I'm just gonna say it. High elves. High elves. That uh, this project had been kind of hiding in the background for a while, and on the back burner while I worked through a number of other game systems. But here we are. We're gonna paint some. Let's and you know I'm excited to see what these look like uh, when they're done. Right? That's not bad. That gets me. It's actually kind of nice. It keeps me a little closer to this sort of. I got this sort of aquatic theme going on these guys, and I know that there are Ideneth, Deepkin. I know all this weird GW crap. What they, you know, shouldn't be calling it crap, but you know, just been kind of working my way through through to where this project was gonna commence in earnest. And so here we are. We're commencing in earnest. I'm gonna see if I can actually end up with something I really like here tonight. And this color is pretty good. I like that it just kind of steps up and down from that like really, really soft white I've got going on, which is kind of what I want. I want like this pale, sort of soft pastel colors to offset the bright orange. I'm gonna go for like a super bright orange. Really push that orange up, you know, as far as I can. And that's looking pretty good. I don't want to mess with this with the robes too much. Looking pretty good. So you're going to be seeing me do a bunch of batch painting tonight, and I hope that's okay with you. But I'm really here just to kind of hang for a bit. We're going to talk games. Today I played some more Batman. Tested out the Riddler deck, the updated Riddler deck, versus Sean's Batman crew. And it was a really close game, very good game. Ended up, I want to say 33 to 31 in my favor. And that's a pretty low score for Riddler. But I had kind of built that deck not as great as I could have, so it's, that's what we're learning. That's why we're doing this. But yeah, that's what's going on. That's what happened today. On this Saturday coming up, we've got Star Wars Legion. And oddly, I don't have anything that needs to be painted for that. I'm totally good to go. So that's why we're working on these. I still have plenty of Batman to paint. I even have some Malifaux here on my desk to paint. But tonight I wanted to mess around with these and see if I could get a color scheme I wanted. Spoiler alert, I think I may have just got it. It's gonna be a pain in the ass to paint thousands of miniatures this way. Not thousands, but um, you know, you do paint a fair few of these. I've got a bunch of archers to paint and like the equivalent of like sword masters, and then once that all that's painted, then it's not so bad from there. Then it's a bunch of oh shoot, that's bad. Uh, yeah, once all that's painted, then it's gonna be just a bunch of characters and kind of larger pieces that I paint. Right? It's your typical army game experience, which again I'm not the biggest fan of, but the thing is for me, a couple things. Why did I start this project? Well, I'll tell you. I'll be honest with you. I started this project entirely, and I mean entirely, out of loyalty to my buddy Jake, who plays, who doesn't he wasn't getting out much to play much miniature games, and out in his region, right? It's not like he could just pop up and find a group that plays Bushido or Batman or uh, Malifaux or Wrath of Kings, all the other games that we're playing. He may be able to find some Legion, which is good news, but in his area in LA, you got to kind of stick to mainstream games. and so he was playing Age of Sigmar. So he really likes the game, and Jake is a good friend of mine. So yes, I will, for out of loyalty for my friend, I will play a dreaded GW game, but I refuse to be stuck with sculpts I do not like. And I know this is a very controversial opinion here, but I'm not a fan of GW sculpts. I know, and I know that shocks people when I say that. I'm like, no, I don't really like their sculpts. Don't really like their art or their aesthetic. Um, Yet these high elves that I'm painting, they should look pretty reminiscent of like the older high elf sculpts. Maybe they seem a little more updated. They seem right, and I like that. I don't like the new um, Lumineth sculpts very much. I think they're kind of cool, but to me they just weren't cool enough for me to like go whole hog and like start a whole army. There is, I will admit to this, there is a faction that has sculpts like actual official GW sculpts that I like the look of. So if I end up liking Age of Sigmar, which I'm sure I will because I'll be playing with my friend Jake, I'll probably start that other faction, um, just because I probably should have something official that I can play in a store with and not get yelled at, right? And that faction is Daughters of Cain. I do like those sculpts. Um, Lumineth come close, right? They come. That's why I'm doing this. I had a high elf army back in, I want to say, fifth edition, maybe not that quite that early, seventh edition fantasy. Um, that I really liked the look of. The fantasy game was just sort of okay for me at the time. We were kind of fading out of 40K, and we were playing Blood Bowl. So that should give you some idea where we were at the time. But yeah, here we are. We're painting Age of Sigmar models. Just very very odd that we would be doing such a thing, but yes. And these aren't, if we're going to be completely technical and legal, I don't want to get in trouble. These are not Age of Sigmar models. They're not. They're not. They come. They look and they come close to a certain faction in Age of Sigmar, but they are not Age of Sigmar models. All right. Let's just be clear on that. Um, this is made by a third-party manufacturer, Raging Heroes, as you know. Um, and in fact, these here were printed. So these were 3D printed Raging Heroes miniatures that come from the Heroes Infinite High Elves of the something Valley. I forgot what it's called. But they are very cool, right? So we're just working our way through this blue-green. Oh, did I already blue-green this guy? Looks like I may have. Yeah, looks like I did. Yeah, I did blue-green this guy. Did I blue-green this guy? Looks like I did. MCP said that they're going to be making X-Men Sentinel models that will have ball joint limbs. Have you ever worked with sculpts like that? Not ball well, not ball joint limbs, like not like fully. I haven't painted like fully articulated miniatures like that. It sounds amazing, but it also sounds a little intimidating as far as painting. I like Isaac Smith. I like your comment. Dodged a bullet not having to paint GW. Ah, the struggle is real, Isaac. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, I will. Like I said, I like Daughters of Cain, so I probably will. I probably will build that and paint that if I like playing AOS enough. Um, if that said, I probably, sadly though, I probably won't cover it on my channel. Like I may post some pics just for a few people to see on the Discord, but I'm not going to. I'm sorry. I'm just I know this is weird. It's a weird moralistic thing, but I want to be one of the only content creators that does not cover GW, right? Because I think that I was watching this really interesting video. Um, I was watching this really interesting video from one of my favorite channels, Discourse Miniatures. I don't know if any of you have ever watched Discourse Miniatures. I started watching Discourse Miniatures mainly for the coverage of Batman miniature game. Um, and it sort of morphed. It has morphed in like the last, I want to say, 18 months or so into a quasi, we'll say a quasi GW commentary channel, and it's it discusses a lot of topics in miniature gaming that I find to be very interesting. In fact, it's a lot of topics that we cover here that you don't hear much on other channels. But uh, they cover GW in the aspect of, hey, a lot of people play GW, but here's some things that just aren't being discussed. And one of the things, and I love this about the channel, right? Because the channel full on basically moved away from pretty much all Batman content to cover GW, and I was like, that's kind of lame, right? I subbed for Batman, and my viewers or my subscribers know the feeling, right? Because a lot of the subscribers tell me that they subbed to this channel for Malifaux content, and I kind of bounce around quite a bit. I still come back and cover Malifaux every now and then, but these days I cover a lot of different games. Anyway, Discourse talked about the fact that content creators, miniature gaming content creators on YouTube, feel trapped in that they have to cover GW in order to get subs and views. Okay? They feel like some content creators have reported that they feel stuck. They feel obliged to cover GW content on their channel and only GW content because that's what gets the videos views and that's what gets them subs. Okay? Now, I used to heavily look down on that back in the day. I'd say, what's the matter? What? You mean you're just doing this for attention? You know what I mean? And I hop on my channel. You're just doing this game. And, there were a lot of, at the time, where I really covered a lot of Malifaux, there were these, like, YouTuber groups that were trying to recruit people, and they were trying to make these, like, bigger YouTuber groups of miniature gaming. And it's like, hey, Octave, why don't you cover some GW on your channel? And I was like, F you, man. I want to cover not GW stuff. And I would criticize them. I'm like, dude, that really you're just trying to game the system for views and subs. Now, I have retreated from that position because I understand that people do YouTube as both a hobby and as a supplemental source of income. And if you're doing it as a supplemental source of income, yeah, you do have to play the subs and views game. I get that, right? And that's where this is all coming from. Like if you have to play the subs and views game, then Yeah, that's a fact. You do have to cover GW because let's face it, the overwhelming amount of people watching YouTube, the miniature gaming community, and even at large is like, oh, Games Workshop. Games Workshop is miniature gaming. Games Workshop is the hobby, right? And I hate that as much as I hate that, I have to acknowledge it. That's a fact. The overwhelming majority. I'm sorry, I stopped painting for a second. Um, I'm gonna we're gonna go back and actually I want to do another layer of this pastel green. So we'll do that on the shield specifically. Um, right. So there, that's kind of a legitimate observation. That yeah, you want to do that. You want to do this um, for subs and views. GW is what you cover, and you cover only GW, right? But here's the problem with that. Just like the miniature gaming product world, all that does is it just perpetuates this endless cycle of, well, there's GW and then there's all the other stuff. And if you really are concerned about, you know, keeping healthy competition in the hobby, keeping new ideas in coming into the hobby, and supporting smaller companies who are trying to do new things with miniature gaming, then yeah, you should be you shouldn't be so quick to jump on the GW bandwagon, right? If you wanna create that future where, GW has some healthy competition and that they have they have healthy competition and that they have to constantly sort of keep their game up, then ooh, I screwed up a bit. It's all right. Then yeah, this is what you're looking at. There should be channels that are like, no, we're going to show you what else is out there, right? It's one of the things that this channel does is it doesn't have a large audience, but my smaller audience I try to expose to a lot of other games because I think there are some great miniature gaming experiences out there that just don't get much press because everybody's talking about GW, right? The only way to end the vicious cycle of GW being the only show in town is, guess what? You have to change the channel. You have to put it on a right? These content creators, you want a different future for YouTube miniature wargaming. That's your responsibility. I should say I'm sorry. I'm one of those. It's our responsibility to do that. And I feel like I do my part in that regard, right? I uh, that's what I do. I realize I'm painting I'm painting a miniature that represents that could be used for a GW game. So I'm being slightly hypocritical here, but it's sort of germane to the topic, right? This is sort of germane to us talking about, right? This we'll call it this issue in YouTube, not just YouTube, but social media in general, Instagram. If you want more Instagram views, right? You put GW miniatures on your page, and you'll get more views. Um, and but there are other games too, right? Michael just brought up Atomic Mass Games, who I consider to be a very legitimate competitor to GW, very legitimate competitor to GW, and I play both their games. Do I like both their games? I like them better than GW games. They're decent, right? I actually really do like painting Legion, and MCP can be fun too. Those games are fun. They're just not my favorite, but I'm happy. I am happy to get behind those wagons and push those up because it, like I said, my goal, at least in the miniature gaming world, is this world where it's not just, one game in town. Because one game in town kills creativity, right? And I always make this analogy too with gamers. I always explain to gamers in this sense that if you're a gamer and you've been, you're a little bit older, um, you may have remembered the days where you would go to an arcade or something like that, or you may have had an N64, right? Let's start there because I'm super old, and so we don't have to talk about the arcade, the video arcade, which was awesome. But anyway, we'll talk about the N64. Some of you grew up with an N64 or a console of like back in the day when console games had all kinds of variety in them. Like in terms of your games, you had all kinds of games. You had first-person shooters, you had fighting games, you had strategy, real-time strategy games, you had role-playing games, you had all kinds of like interesting sort of crafty games or dialogue-based driven games, that kind of thing, right? And we had this sort of renaissance of all these different styles of video games, and the market was being very creative. The video game manufacturers were being very creative about look at that, I totally missed that back there. um, they're being totally creative about the games that they were launching. Okay, and so it was a very very good time to be a consumer of video games at that time because you had all kinds of variety, right? And then what happened, right? Within a few years, it became, you had games like Doom, Half-Life, Counter-Strike. Those games started to take over big time. Those games started to just explode in popularity. And then you had fighting games too, right? Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, Tekken. All of those games also exploded in popularity. And it got bad. It got so bad that, at one time, but in the late 90s, it looked like, yep. Oh, hold on, folks. Let me cut my mic here for a sec. Okay, sorry about that, folks. It's my wife is she's having some back pain, so I'm helping her out a little bit with that. Anyways, back to my story here, and this I always tell this, right? There was a time where those games got so popular that the market was just flooded with nothing but first-person shooters and fighting games. And for a while, that's all video games was, right? It wasn't until really the market had to correct with new designers coming up and introducing different ways to enjoy games. That yeah, while we still see this massive dominance of certain styles of video games, it still isn't a monopoly, right? It still isn't just one game in town. The same cannot be said of miniature gaming, right? Miniature gaming had historicals and it had these other games back in the day when GW really started to catch fire that disappeared. And I'm not saying it's wrong that they disappeared. That's right. That's just how the market went. Um, and those games, though, those like the smaller historical games and so forth, they still survived because they kind of knew like, hey, we have this small but loyal customer base, and we're just going to keep making stuff for them, right? Like North Star Military, or what's the other one I'm thinking of? Warlord. You know, they'll still pump out games. Oh, this guy did not get he didn't get the blue, and that's a concern. We just don't want to have GW become the only thing. Then really, and it's close to that right now. The GW being the only show in town. Um, right? There's still, like, you go to most towns in the U.S. and it's like, well, we play Games Workshop or we play nothing at all. Right? And that's all that you can find on the shelf in some of these stores and that sort of thing. That has only very recently changed with Atomic Mass. Right? Now you can find Marvel Crisis Protocol in Target, right? You can find it. You can find Star Wars Legion for sale. There was I forget where I was. It was some board game coffee shop that I was in that was selling Marvel Crisis Protocol, right? So there's hope, right? AMG gives me hope that we can start to correct this marketplace and start to, provide some proper competition for Games Workshop and expand what people think of in the miniature gaming hobby. Right? That's another sort of lofty goal of mine is I just, and I say this over and over again on this channel, I just don't believe that the miniature gaming experience is always going to be, you know, wipe remove as many of the opponent's miniatures as you can while keeping as many of yours as possible. That's 99% of miniature games out right now, and it's pretty much all Games Workshop games are basically that. And I feel like we are robbing ourselves of what miniature games could really be if we encourage creativity. And yeah, and I blame the customer base. I blame us because we're just like, "Oh, look, another fight game. Walk up, see if you're in range, roll your dice, the other guy rolls his dice," right? We love that. I including myself there. We love that. But there's more. Trust me, miniature gaming. If you played some of the as many of the different games, like Guild Ball, like Batman, like Aristea, like you know that there is more to this hobby, to the gaming part of the hobby than just walk punch, right? The customer base, we love that though. Oh, I can't wait for this new walk punch game, right? We just that's what we do all day, every day. Oh, I'm getting excited. There's a new walk punch game coming out. I can't walk punch, right? Yeah, and it's super fun. I get it. It's super fun, but we can't live in that forever. I think, and especially the people and I'm part of this as well. I would also listen. I love you guys. I really like hanging out with you guys. It's true. I like gaming with the people I game with. I like gaming. I like miniature gaming people, um, and that sort of thing. But we clearly get tired of each other, don't we? We clearly, you're looking around like there was an AOS tournament today, right? And Sean and I were playing Batman in the middle of this AOS tournament, which is hilarious. And I'm so glad Sean was there to play with me. Well, we're playing AOS in the middle. I mean, sorry, BMG in the middle of this AOS tournament. And I hate to say it, but yeah, we're all fit in this demographic. We all kind of. I mean, the miniature gaming community is pretty homogenous. Come on, guys. You know that, right? It's pretty homogenous, and I include myself. Yes, doughy gamer dudes, and I may, and that sort of thing. But and we all wish like, oh man, wouldn't it be great if we had just different kinds of people playing miniature games? Wouldn't it be cool? And I'm not just talking about girls. I mean, I'm talking about like, wouldn't it be cool if you had just people who had different senses of humor, people who had different cultural backgrounds, people who maybe, just look at things a little bit differently than your average wargamer does. We all want company. We all want that. And guess what? This walk punch game, the walk punch games only attract the walk punch crowd. Okay, so it's been the walk punch crowd for years and years and years. I love doughy beardy guys. best best comment. But yeah, we're all there. It's like, yeah, wouldn't it be cool if it's, just you have a few different people in this mix. The only thing that's going to get different people in the mix is if the miniature games are not all samey, right? And I really think this is a great creative space where you can do stuff. Oh, by the way, I know we're talking Isaac Smith and welcome Chronomagus to the feed. Thank you for popping in. I know we have a few people. Nelson's in. You like the use of cards in Malifaux over most dice games. Me too, buddy. Look what I have on my desk, and you're going to get mad. You're going to get mad at me. I'm going to show you, but you're going to get mad. All right. Look at this. I got Mystique. See your skin's in, but not much else. I've been wanting a female Carlos miniature because you guys know I love Performer and I love Karis. I love those keywords. So yeah, I got her on my desk. I got Easter. My brain is not working right now. I got Easter Angelica on my desk, right? So they're going to be painted up. They're going to be added to my Performer crew, obviously. Yeah, I do love Malifaux. Malifaux is great. I'm going to get it back on the menu. I've been struggling to generate Malifaux content for the channel, but I will paint. I also for you guys that like BMG, I have some ideas for some kind of long form content to add to the channel, specifically about BMG. Right. One thing is you don't see a lot of BMG coverage on YouTube. Sorry, I need to keep painting. Let's move on to this luminous orange. You don't see a lot of BMG content on YouTube. It's a lot of like battle report and painting, and that's it, right? No one really tells you about the crews. Like there's no sort of crew guide, and I would hate to call it a crew guide, but there's no commentary like, hey, here's my experience playing a Birds of Prey crew, and what I think you can expect if you wanted to play Birds of Prey. Here's what you can expect from Batman. And that would be based on the deck, the miniature, the objective deck, the miniatures available, some ideas that I do, or some things that I do with that crew, some of my impressions of it, right? I want to do that for all of the different crews that I run, right? So Batman, Riddler, Birds of Prey, Court of Owls, Two-Face. We can talk about teams a little bit as well, right? That's my thought, is I could do some kind of long form content on BMG that hopefully you guys would find kind of interesting. And it would give people who don't know much about BMG at least a taste of, oh, that's what that game's like. And he talks about the game in terms of how to work this particular crew's objective deck and common models that they might take, that sort of thing. Yeah. So the comment on more D&D like things, I love that too, right? Cooperative miniature games. I think we're gonna see some more. I think we will see some more of those, because it is clear that people want to play cooperative sometimes, or they want to play multiplayer miniature games. I know, like in our group, when we have several people together, there's this sort of desire to play cooperative or multiplayer miniature games. So I think there's a good space there for that. And then D&D kind of give it a little bit more of that like a role play feel to it. I feel like a really nice sort of fun compromise to that would be something like Shadows of Brimstone, which is popular in our group. We play Shadow. That's sort of our co-op go-to is Shadows of Brimstone. We also play Defiance. We play the Infinity uh, sci-fi co-op game, semi-co-op we'll call it. Uh, that's super fun. So, right, there's games like that I think are super fun that could see a little bit more exposure. There's even the Monolith Batman game, which we used to play quite a bit before. Um, it's just hard to keep everything on the menu. You know what I mean? Let's see. My backlog is almost 100% Malifaux. LGS has 2E for 40% off. Ho ho ho! That's pretty nice. What do you do you specialize in a faction or do you just collect it all? I'm mainly an Arcanist player. I do have I do have English Ivan and I have some 10T stuff, but really I'm pretty much exclusively Arcanist player. And even within Arcanist, I'm pretty picky. Like Performer is really where I'm at, but I also really like Wildfire and I like December too. I think and I like Chimera too. I don't know. So there's some Arcanist keywords that I really enjoy. But yeah. But you guys get where I'm going, right? It's like if if we had people sort of pitching in and just bringing light to these other games and these other experiences out there, rather than now, I think the actual answer would be, something like, Guerrilla Miniature Gaming, right? Where Ash he has a very big audience. He covers GW, so he's got that covered. People come to watch GW, but he covers so many games that I really like that. People that go to his channel to watch some GW stuff are getting exposed to all other kinds of games. Um, I think the ultimate form of that would be, and you've seen some inklings of this, right? Like, the Dice Tower, the board game channels, they have a miniature board game guy who just kind of specializes in bridging the gap into like miniature board games. Well, like if you had a little bit more muscle in that regard, then that guy's exposing like miniature games to a wider audience than miniature gamers, right? Ash is basically exposing different miniature games to the already established miniature gaming crowd. And I don't mean to detract from what he is able to accomplish at all. But I mean that's kind of where it is. People that sub to Ash and watch Guerrilla Miniature Games are already miniature gamers. But people who tune into Dice Tower may not be. They may not be miniature gamers, right? And so their miniature gaming guy has this opportunity to be like, hey, you like this board game? Well, guess what? Try a miniature game because it's also very fun too. Mostly Guild Lady J, but you've been grabbing it all. Nice, very fun. I have not painted the 3E Lady J. My that metal Lady J, that original Lady J, I love so much. And I know she's a little weird. Her head is disproportionately large. But I still really love that miniature. Just such good character to it. I, you know, I'm still down for that mini. So, anyway, uh, but yeah, you see where I'm going with this. It's like, yeah, they're like there are opportunities to really get new people in front of miniature games. And I think we should be supportive of that and try to figure out how we can do that too. Because like I said, I know that we're all cool and whatever, but uh, it would be good to get some fresh meat in here, right? Some fresh blood, fresh faces, right? And the way to do that is not through like arguing or bickering or anything, but to start making and supporting games that are going to be different than walk up and punch. Not I'm just that's yeah. Take what you want from that thought. But yeah, there's got to be more to life than just walk up and punch. Just that's what it is. I don't really like 3E Lady J. Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, I agree. I don't really like the 3E Lady J. Just kind of weird looking. She okay. She just doesn't look as. She's very subdued, and it just I don't know. That 3E just seems to lack energy. It's like the 3E Rasputina. I think the 3E Rasputina is kind of terrible. So, what I have is I have the plastic version of the classic Alt Raspy. You remember the metal Alt Raspy where she's floating in the air? I have that. And I love that sculpt. Um, so, yeah, there's just some of the sculpts just weren't that great. Let's see. The new AJ coming out this month is nice. I'm not liking the special set. Oh, yeah. Is that the one where I think this is definitely more of like a combat pose where she's like stabbing somebody. Yeah, the 3E Raspy. Ugh, yeah, I don't know. She has weird boots. A friend of mine painted one for me. And she did a great job. Like she painted me a Raspy. She did a great job on that Raspy. But I just wasn't feeling the pose and the ice boots. Like it was just sort of just sort of yeah, okay. I, w- I wasn't all that hot on that. All right. So, I mean, here this is really where we're at. But you see this the hair is long. It comes all the way down here. So I have to continue that on. So we have to undercoat the hair properly. So I need like that sand. I need this sand yellow to do that. Um, yeah, yeah, like it's so weird painting stuff. It's been, as you guys know, geez, it's been several years, we'll say, since I've painted a GW Mini. It's been several years, and no, these are not GW Minis, but they, in terms of their look and their design, they are similar enough, and it does feel this feels familiar to me without upsetting me. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, I'm getting that. I'm getting the high elf aesthetic that I like without without my common complaints of you know of GW sculpts, right? And what I mean by my common complaints, I'll just lay it out for you. um, the common complaint is that GW has a couple of things, but and I'm not just talking about price. Forget price for a second. Um, Stuff like all their faces sort of being the same. All GW faces are just sort of the same. They're just that all sort of like constipated face. And I get it. It's like a war grunt. They're like, right? But it's really boring, right? Especially when it's different races doing that. Like it's like, oh look, orc face, human face, dwarf face, elf face, and they're all doing that. It's just kind of lame. All right, it's not like everyone brags about the GW sculpt, like oh the GW sculpt is so great, and it's like faces and bases, and all their guys just look kind of even across lines, even across races. They all just look sort of faceless and nameless, no matter where they're from. It's just like, right? They all kind of have that same look on their face, and that's my first complaint about GW sculpts. My next complaint about GW sculpts is, and this isn't true of all of them, but it's true of a lot of the ranges. Is we always talk about the immense detail um, on GW miniatures, but we no one ever said that that the immense detail is just so busy in a lot of cases, and I'm talking Chaos Space Marines. I know you're talking about Thousand Suns, but that immense detail is so busy that, in my opinion, it just rips the focus away from the model. You have all this gold bordering, and you have all these skulls and spikes and ornate bits and that sort of thing. Um, I like to say that an Antiques Roadshow threw up on some of these models, and people are like, "Whoa, look at the detail!" And you're like, dude, if you painted in every detail, there's no place to focus on those miniatures. They're just so busy. There's no place to really look, right? Your eye is like, oh, look at all that shit on that miniature. It must be detailed and it must be, therefore it's good, right? You just quickly, it's like it's like filibustering. It's like filibustering to just, it's just gonna keep talking until you give up, you give in, and you say fine, fine. There's so much detail. Fine, it's a good sculpt. GW sculpts are amazing, but really, and again, just my opinion, folks. Some of those sculpts are just. It's like walking around with like a Christmas tree ornament, right? I feel like, especially with how big some of the miniatures are getting, like the centerpieces, like the AOS centerpieces or the 40K pieces, it's like you're just walking around with like a knickknack, right? Like a piece of furniture, like that you stole from your grandma's her glass display cabinet at her house. Oh, I got this. This was made special for me at the fair, and it has all this crap on it. And you just like picked up that piece of furniture and you walked to your miniature store and you said, "Here's my HQ choice." Like that. That's what it looks like to me. That's that's what it. I'm sorry if you feel differently. Please let me know in the comments. I'm sure more people agree with you than with me if you do feel differently, but that's just my take. I just look at GW and I'm like, wow, it's just a pile of shit all over. Like somebody just took a mini and with the same face, that same grunting face, and just rolled it in. Let's put spikes here and let's put some skulls, and we just roll the miniature in that and stand it back up and look at all the detail. You know what I mean? That. That's a little hyperbole, but you get where I'm going with that, right? They're so busy. In some cases, the sculpts are so busy that you just don't have a place to focus, and you just give in, and you say, "Fine, best sculpt ever. Just leave me alone. It's fine. It looks great, okay?" That's how I feel. I don't know. if you do if you do see what I'm saying, like if you see the validity in that, like holler, let me know that I'm not alone and that I'm not crazy. Thanks, Sean. See, like and everyone's like, oh, hands down, GW has the best sculpts. I'm like, word, really? I don't know, man. I am I can't. Am I the only person that thought that? Like, nah, man. This really? they kind of do look like there's just too much shit on them sometimes. I I would argue that okay, you know what miniature line has a lot of detail in it, like a lot of detail in it, a lot of fine intricate detail in it, but doesn't look busy. Is Corvus Belli. Look at the Infinity sculpts. Those sculpts have crazy intricate detail in them, but they don't lose focus, right? Unless you're talking O12. O12 color scheme sucks. All right, you hear me, Angel Heraldez? See, I'm talking trash. I'm talking trash on possibly the greatest miniature painter to ever do it, Angel Heraldez. I love everything you do, Angel Heraldez, but that O12 color scheme is terrible. Okay, you want to say, and I get it. You might go, hey, what are you doing? You're painting a busy, bright color scheme for the sake of bright octave. You're being a hypocrite. Maybe, but O12 color scheme is still annoying. I still hate it so much. Anyway, um, let me take. Actually, really like a lot of centerpieces. Details make more. Yeah, I get. You know what I really like is again I'm gonna come back to this high elf thing. I really like the waterfall temple thing. It is really cool. Some of the ones I saw though, it does look like you're just like running off with like mom's, your grandma's thing. But yeah, I do love that temple thing. And there's a bunch. There's actually quite a bit of those centerpieces I really like. If I'm being honest, yeah. There's a few that I'm like, what? Nah. Anyway, um, yeah, I yeah, I don't have a good place to land the plane. That's just where my rant is going. Um, so yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna order myself a little sheet of decal, like a decal thing where you can throw in your printer, and I'll do a little design and put that on there. Um, yeah, dude. I mean, that's my scheme. I need like silver gray. Here we go. I love Kingdom Death models, but building them, yeah, I built a bunch of Kingdom Death, and it can be quite painful for sure. Okay, here's another thing that scares me. You just talked about model counts, right? This is 7 dudes I just painted. 7. And I'm gonna have to do this color scheme several dozen more times before I have my AO. We'll call it my fantasy war game ready to go. How about that? Yeah, that's scaring me a little. But we are don't build Malifaux. Yeah, but Sean's built Malifaux. I built Malifaux. It can be rough. Um, oh, that Mystique, that female Carlos mini. I'll show it to you in a sec. Hold on. Let's get this highlight on. This requires a little delicate brush there, right, to get that. So I'll do it after this. I just did that one. You're painting 20,000 suns. You're just doing a batch of 20. There you go, dude. That's courage, buddy. I rarely do more than 10 on a batch paint, but I've been known to do it. I think you guys have seen me batch painting, like when I did Song of Ice and Fire for Michael. That was basically one batch paint. I was trying to keep them all looking the same. So I don't remember how many minis that was. Yeah, but you know, when I was painting the Hadros for Wrath of Kings, that was all one batch paint too. It's just not fun. It's a little. It's on the. It's a little. It's a bit excruciating. How about that? To do that. But yeah, especially the GW stuff like that. I painted. I'll just tell you, the last thing I painted, the last GW miniatures I painted was a Sisters of Army, like that full battle force. I painted a full battle force for Sisters of Battle, and that's where I was like, oh, everyone's face looks the same, and they're just covered in all this ornate shit. There's just pipes and skulls and organ stuff, and uh, it all just kind of looked the same, and it was like heavily, it was a little too ornate, and it was just driving me crazy. I felt like I was painting furniture. Like, you just, right? I'm just painting hand carved furniture. That was two trays of 12 minis. Yeah, the pyromania. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was all one batch. I was like, yeah, let's take care of that. And that was a bit rough. Um, Jake wants to play some Song of Ice and Fire, and I think at some point he's gonna paint up the starter so we could check it out. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But I'm painting, like I said, I'm painting this to play this game with him. I'm painting gold on one more dude and paint their bases. Nice. Yeah, dude, give yourself a break. I'm just so I my goal for this army is I do want them to be a nice looking army. I had a really nice um, high elf army back in the day that I absolutely loved the look of. And they were boring. They were the boring white and blue Calidor colors, but I just loved seeing the whole host together, right? And if I see a bunch of these orange and blue guys together, I think it's going to be pretty sick. I'm also going to have to figure out what their basing is, uh, right? So I'll figure that out too. But here's what I was going to show you, right? Annoying builds. Okay, so I don't know, Isaac, if you have Mystique yet or if you were ever planning on building her, but here's the problem with this model. You can kind of see a little bit here. Let me use this to point. You can kind of see this little seam right here in the arm. Yeah, you could totally see it now. See that seam? That arm sticks out like this, and then, and if I recall, this is all one. You glue this piece on. You glue the fire onto the little stick, right? And I know what you're thinking. Octave, it's not so bad as long as you have plastic cement, because it's hard plastic, right? Well, yes, of course I have plastic cement. That said, that's not the rough part. The rough part is this part right here, where you have this hand here that's just the hand and the stick, and then you glue the fire to that. I appreciate how you can't see a seam there. You can see one there, but I appreciate you can't see one there. That's great. But keeping this together was such a pain. Um, I would suggest super gluing it there, and if you need to, if you need to, uh, break out your magic dust. Green stuff that, oof, magic dust. Magic dust will help you, but be careful. Don't leave too much magic dust on because it'll leave a little texture. But yeah, don't we like our girl? I like her. Isn't she cool? I got plans. I got plans for what her whole outfit's gonna be. Um, we'll work on her at some point. She's gonna be fun. All right. Um, let's do Let's do a little bit of yellow. Like I want like a, do I have like an intense yellow I could put down? The fluorescent yellow is a little too, the word I'm looking for. It's a little too green. So I think I'm gonna go with like a deep yellow. Ooh, radiant yellow. I haven't tried this. Let's try that. Hopefully that's not too green. Octave, all your high elves are blonde. Yes, they are. I don't know. I'll put some different hair color on some of these, but guys, I was mainly trying to find my color scheme when I was painting, when I started painting these today. Yeah, Outcast play yourself, looking forward to Levi. Hell yeah! Levi sculpts have been very good over the years, my opinion. I think the Levi sculpts are super cool looking. And Von Stuck is cool, but to me, Von Stuck is just sort of like, just sort of copies Levi in terms of his aesthetic. I'm like, who is that? Did Levi get a haircut? And like, no, that's Von Stuck. What? Who's Von Stuck? All right. You don't want to overdo the yellow because you're still trying to reinforce the idea that this color is really orange, but you're highlighting some of it, right? And it does give it a little bit of that burning look. No more old white guys, please. Well, you can have like Zoraida and Maxine, old girls. Yeah, my problem with weird with Malifaux is I love Colette way too much. There's like when I play Malifaux, it's Colette is who I want to play all day, every day, into everything. Don't care. But every now and then I'm like, oh, I'll jump onto another keyword. But really, that's where I'm at. Really love Colette. Colette 2 is a lot easier to play than OG Colette, which is kind of cool. Like, so I would tell people if you're trying to learn Colette, you're probably better off start playing Colette 2 before playing the OG Colette. Because then you get to learn how to operate your doves and that sort of thing, which is a very, very important skill in general. And then you get to learn placement and all that stuff without putting Colette into too much trouble. That's the nice thing about Colette 2. Colette 1, you really want to be in trouble most of the time. If you're not playing her correctly. She should be kind of in the middle of things, causing as many problems as she can. Right? Trying to be the center of attention, whereas Colette 2 is the opposite. You want to keep her well in the background and just operate everything at a distance. There's a dichotomy between old... Yeah, maybe. Yeah, what are they trying to say? There's some... who are the younger guys? Like McCabe, I guess? I guess McCabe is kind of a younger guy. We don't know how old English Ivan is, but he's not as old as, Ramos, Nicodem, or Von Stuck, Levi. Those are all the old dudes. All right. This is kind of a weird dragon symbol here. It isn't terribly well defined. I'm just sort of picking the more prominent pits and highlighting them back in. Oh, there's a oh yeah yeah. Are you talking you're talking about the smuggler keyword, right? Colette Smuggler? Yeah, I was just talking about Colette Smuggler. Or are you or is there another? I actually thought her sculpt was terrible when they first released the artwork. I was like, she just looks terrible. She looks like Maggie Smith playing Colette, right? Like, what is this? Uh, you find a Lobo and a Nightwing. I thought it was terrible. The Colette artwork, and then when I got the sculpt in my hands and started painting it, I really liked it. Yeah, uh, I don't know. I can show you if you guys want. I can show you mine. Let me just get this yellow highlight on. Then you'll see how I like certain colors. Okay, this actually highlights this stuff highlights pretty quick because the raised areas are just really easy to get at. Okay, almost there, guys. Oh, looks like I already did this one. Whoop. Um, yeah, I didn't like it when I painted it though. Then I really started to like it, and I don't, as far as like gameplay, I don't like her as much as OG Colette. OG Colette still gives you really crazy amounts of control in jank, as they say. So you still get the full jank out of old school Colette, or Colette 1, we'll say. Um, but Colette 2 is easier to run. Um, I thought maybe like my hunch was that maybe she's a little bit better for turf war and that sort of thing, which is right, which is where Colette isn't typically taken, and that makes a lot of sense. I think she is. I think Colette 2 is pretty good for turf war, but I also think that Colette 1, yeah, you could play for turf war, just not ideal. All right, I'm almost done with this color. You can see it's just a real quick highlight. Whoa. Okay. All right, last one. So yeah, I do use contrast paints to color block all this stuff and then base coat and highlight up. And that's what sort of does the trick for me. That gets me the result I want. Okay. Okay, cool. I think that's everybody. Yeah, I got the smuggler right here, so let me move that real quick. And let's have a look at the smuggler. Doo doo doot. Got my Malifaux bag right here. In fact. So I guess I'll show you. I'll show you. Whoa! They just jumped out at me. I'll show you both. My Colette 1 and or yeah. So here's Colette 1. And yeah, what can I say? I absolutely love this mini. Uh, she's got the peacock feathers, and you can see I've done like a yellow and black, which is kind of my thing. I love yellow and black. Just yeah, Wu-Tang forever, man. I just love it, right? So here's Colette 1. Put her there. And here is Colette 2. And I thought Colette 2 was kind of, I was like, oh, she's all covered up and boring, right? But I like it. Like, especially with the, right? So I kept the color scheme because like I said, Wu-Tang forever, right? So I kept the color scheme. And then Wu-Tang forever! So yeah, uh, I just love the crew. It's such a good aesthetic. Here's an older Colette that I did with, I took the swoosh out. The paint job is not as good, but I have this like clear magic effect there. But yeah, that one could be. I'm much happier with this. It took me a while to kind of accept this, but I like it now. It just at first, like when I first got Colette, I was like, oh, I don't like, I don't. So I clipped it off, and you saw what I did. But I like this. Anyway, oh, and then I don't have the 3E Raspy in this bag, but look at what I do have. This sculpt I adore. I love this sculpt. It is, the metal one was so cool, and it was always one of my favorite sculpts, and to have it in plastic is just so dope. Look at my girl. Raspy's so cool. Do I have Karis 2 in here? Maybe. Yeah, the whole like performer crew, the whole performer keyword I have in that Wu-Tang style. Love that. Oh, thanks guys. Yeah, that's not exactly. It's 1E alt, not the original Rasputina, but that was the second Rasputina sculpt out. Oh, here she is. Okay, whoa. Okay, I didn't break it. Don't worry. Don't worry. Those were just magnetized bases. Okay. This is my girl right here. Well, first, let's show you. This is an older paint job, but yeah. There's your alt Karis. Hadouken! Right? We love Karis. I do love Karis. That's Yvonne's love Karis. She loves Karis. I also love Karis, but yeah. And so that was the standard Karis, and then you got this Karis, which is so dope. Firestarter carrot. I haven't even played it. I haven't even played this model. I've had this painted this model forever. I even have a TikTok of this, of me painting this model. This has got Busta Rhymes on it. It's so cool. But yeah, this this model, this is easily of like the new keyword sculpts. This is easily one of my favorites. Love this model. So good. So good, guys. Anyway, damn. Now I'm just looking at my Malifaux stuff. Like, I guess I should play again. Oh, let me show you what my friend painted for me. I don't have the Raspy in here that she painted, but she painted this for me. She painted a snowstorm for me. And I love the job she did on, I love the job she did on Snowstorm. And I think she used oils, right? Lex painted this for me. For you locals, you know. She painted this for me. So cool. So cool. Still love that. Malifaux stuff is so cool. It really is. There's just too many sculpts that I like. Let's look at a. I don't know. We're just messing around now. Look, I even have a 1E metal Colette. Look at this. This is ancient history. 1E metal Colette in my bag. Because you gotta love. And then I was running this as an alt Colette at one point. Well, Zatanna. Oh, do you not love Zatanna? Like, you gotta probably look at Zatanna, man. Is that not Colette? That's Colette, man. You gotta head off? All right, thanks, Chronomegas, man. Thanks for hopping in. Look, and it's Wu-Tang forever. Yeah. Anyways, that's enough. That's enough show and tell for one night. Oh wait. I mean, let me show you one last thing. Let me just show you one last thing. This is hilarious. 2E Marcus drinking a mug of beer. just thought, just thought you need to see that. Oh, you did Zatanna. Oh, yeah, because Zatanna is like the perfect Colette mini. Oh, man. It's too bad that she's not in BMG anymore. They're still trying to figure out what to do with all the magic rules for that game. But even when they do magic for the game, she's gonna be DC, just in the DC game from now on. So she will always just be an alt Colette for me. So, anyways, let's have a look here at our. And I love that I can call these high elves. I don't have to call them the whatever dumb GW name that they call them. I can just call these high elves. Right? So that's my color scheme. Oh, it's going to be such a pain to paint more of these. But it is what I landed on. Let's see. I got a bunch more of these. Right, here's how they look printed. My buddy printed these for me. So you got squad leader. Oh, he's got a banner too. Look at banner, Michael. Pretty cool. We got. I think I had him print 2 squads for me, so he did 2 squad leaders, right? And then yeah, and then just the rest of these. So very cool. All right, guys. I think that's it. That's all the show and tell we can do. But that is going to do it for our stream. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I will be continuing to paint some. I don't know if I'll do them on camera because you guys already watched me do that first squad. I don't think you need to see me do more of the same. But if I move sculpt to archers, which would be after these guys are all done, I may stream some of that. So that's going to do for this video. I want to thank everyone for watching. Have a good night, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.